Hi everybody, my name is Bárbara Marrero and welcome to Unmasked with Barbara. This is a show where I interview strong women from all walks of life in hopes to bring light in the midst of chaos. We're unmasking and talking all things beauty, body positivity, entrepreneurship, and so much more.
There's like no other option, so we don't want to think about the other option.
Yes.
It's kind of like that meme of Cardi B where it's like,
What was the reason?
I was like so pissed.
You did not fight through all that you fought through to stop here.
Subscribe to my channel and stay tuned for an incredible journey. Are you ready? Let's go.
Now, tell us about Best Buddies.
Yep. So Best Buddies is an international organization that creates opportunities for friendships, jobs, leadership development, and inclusive living for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Mm-hmm. So I work out of the Orlando office right now as an employment consultant, aka job coach. Mm-hmm. When we accept someone into our program, they go through this whole screening process to make sure that they're ready for work. And based on their skills and their interests and what they want to do, we try to find the right job for them. So a lot of it is networking out in the community, trying to find employers that are interested in hiring someone with a disability and kind of diversifying their workplace. And then, and then my job where I come in is when we place them in that job, I go to orientation with them. I do all the first beginning steps. I basically learn their job with them and train them until they're completely independent and they feel comfortable, which usually is maybe like a month or so, and then let them spread their wings and then they're on their own and they do their job. I check in periodically, but it's very rewarding. It's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun work. Every day looks different.
What drew you into that? Like what made you decide to take on, Best Buddies as your career and your life choice, I guess?
It was never something that I was like, I'm going to work for Best Buddies one day. Like it was always my favorite organization just from my involvement. Just as a teen, I did their Spread the Word campaign, and I was just really drawn to being an advocate for this community of people. But I never had it planned out like that. I didn't go to school for social work or anything like that. And, when Best Buddies in Palm Beach was hiring, I read the job description and I was like, that's definitely me. That's I meet that description, and the rest is history. I ended up moving to Orlando to pursue the employment consultant position that opened up later on. So I've been with Best Buddies for about 2 years now. So it brings me so much fulfillment, and I feel so I guess where I belong.
Yeah. So I remember me and you talked about one of the participants, that she's amazing and she's doing all these different things. I want you to kind of highlight what she does, because I think it's really amazing. Yeah.
Well, I mean, every day, like I said, looks totally different from the next. And there's so many stories that I could dive into of this thing happened with a participant. But I think overall, the participant that you're referencing, her name is Elise, and she's just really amazing. On the side, she teaches Zumba. She literally instructs a Zumba class.
I need her to teach me a class.
She has better moves than me. But and then she works at a law firm. She's I think she's 30, 31. Okay. Yeah. She works at a law firm doing admin work there. She sits on advisory boards and stuff. And she's just but yeah, I mean, just seeing the confidence that my participants gain from just even opening up their first paycheck, little things like that we don't really think about, and it means so much, and it just affects so many people through this ripple effect. And even, I mean, one of my favorite moments just from being a job coach was I was going to an orientation with a participant who just got placed, and he was saying bye to his parents, leaving out the door, and we were just, we were going to leave together, and his mom held him really close and said, "I'm so proud of you." And it was just the way that she said it. She goes, "I'm so proud of you." And I have chilly willies right now, but just to see how it's not just about giving a participant a job. It's what it does for their family, what it does for their self-confidence, what it does in that workplace where people are being exposed to people of different abilities. And if you want to join the Best Buddies crew,
I'm literally here for that.
Yeah, we're a fun crew, they'll tell you. But yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. How was your experience? You just finished your last year competing.
Yeah.
How has your experience been overall now that you're done?
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I was really devastated and really heartbroken that this wasn't God's plan for me. And I think, more often than not, we always talk about like, oh, when you win and then, what your life is going to be like after the crown. Like we always have those expectations, but I think we never really talk about like when.
Because we're like, we're going to win.
Yeah.
I'm going to win and there's no other plan B.
Right. There's like no other option. So we don't want to think about the other option.
Yes.
And, so like being faced with like, okay, this wasn't God's calling for me. And, we feel like so confident and so compelled by our goals sometimes that we just get this one track mind of like, this is what it's going to be like, and I just from competing so many years in a row, like I had like my 5-year plan. And Miss Florida USA was only 1 year, but I had this 5-year plan of like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to change the world. And like, I had this definite plan of exactly what I wanted to do with the title. And I was like, this is my calling. God told me so, and I'm going to just do it. And I'm going to change so many people's lives, and I'm going to just use the title for good. And I felt so confident in that. And I think where I'm at now is, obviously, a little bit of time has passed and I gained a little bit of perspective. But I realized, and it was just what I've been preaching the whole time, but just never taking my own advice was, you don't have to receive any type of recognition or credibility to change people's lives or to, have some like level of influence in the world. And I think we make that excuse all the time of like, oh, well, I can't do that because I haven't won this thing yet, or like I haven't gotten the promotion, or I haven't been recognized, and like who am I to like try to influence people, or
there's no spotlight on me, so what's the point of me doing that?
Right, like people aren't going to take me seriously, or like listen to what I have to say. And what I've realized, and especially just like from even example of just being here doing this interview, there is something that what you have to say that people need to hear, whether you have a title or not. And you don't need a title to be a leader. But sometimes, leaders don't have a title,
right.
And so that's kind of where I'm at with that. It still hurts, I'm not going to lie. I was very frustrated with God of like, why did you put this dream in my heart? If it wasn't made, to eventually come to fruition. It's kind of like that meme of Cardi B where I was like, what was the reason? I was like so pissed. I was like so upset, but I was like really mad. And, I need to have the giggles right now.
That was epic.
But really, I was really curious. I was like, what was the reason? What was the whole point of you putting this dream in my heart and me following it for 10 years if I was never meant to win? But I think like, coming to terms with it now, you, regardless of like whether you have a title or a crown or whatever, you still have that power to be an advocate and influence others. The very same thing that drew me to Best Buddies in the first place was like, remember you thought this, remember this was your like core belief, like now you gotta like actually walk the walk and talk the talk. So
and one of the reasons why I wanted to bring you on the show was because in what you're going through right now, I saw so much power and strength behind that, because there are so many women that struggle with that daily, like just women that are just, they feel like they're called to do something, but every obstacle gets in the way. And I feel like sometimes, and I speak from experience too, like I've been there as well. I competed in so many different pageants at Miss Florida as well. And when I stopped competing, I realized that I don't need a crown to dictate what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. I don't need to win a prize. I don't need to win some sort of recognition in order for me to make my voice be heard.
Right.
And in that year of kind of like reinventing and like figuring out what it is, okay, God, if this isn't what you want me to do, what do you want me to do right now? Because I have all this passion and all this, desire and experience and all this stuff, but I don't know where I'm headed. I thought this was it, but it's not.
Yeah.
So I think it's where you're at right now is such an amazing place, because the opportunities are endless, when I feel like sometimes when we tend to close our minds to, okay, this is what I want, that's it, and nothing else, we limit our possibilities. We limit what we can do with ourselves and where and how wide God can open the doors, you know? I think sometimes we see something and we're like, okay, that looks shiny, that looks gold, that's what I want. And we get
that's for me.
and that's for me. And we get so hung up on this like small vision.
Yeah.
And, you know, I feel like God calls us to, he draws us in. And I feel like that's what he does. He uses things kind of like the Easter egg,
analogy, I guess. Whatever the word is.
He kind of drops Easter eggs here and there to draw us in the path that he wants us to walk in.
Yeah, 100%.
And eventually, you know, we get hurt because, have you ever seen that meme with Jesus and like the big teddy bear in the back and like this little girl holding a teddy bear? She's like, no, but that's mine. And got it. And Jesus is like, I have something better if you just give it to me and trust me. And that's literally, I think about that all the time because so many times our small minds cannot comprehend how big and how wide the opportunities are and what God has in store for us. But because we're so stuck in, this is what I want and this is what I dreamt about and this is my whole life. Yeah. But literally, like, our lives are this small and what God has is like this big. And if we just literally like let go of what we want to do and let him lead us, it's almost refreshing. Yeah. And my year of kind of reinventing myself was peaceful in a way. It was a struggle because I was frustrated because I was like, okay, God, like, I know I'm supposed to be doing bigger and better and all these different things, but I'm not doing anything. But in that discovery, I kind of felt peace because I knew God was leading me somewhere and I was trusting him in it, you know? And I knew he wasn't going to let me down. And I knew the visions that he was giving me and the visions that I started having for this show, for this project was beyond what I could even think about. Like when I started doing the show, it was nothing. I was literally talking to Vanessa and we were talking about how this was going to be one of those like in my room with a little desk and a chair. Hi guys, welcome to my channel type of show.
Hit the bell in the corner and subscribe.
Subscribe. I'm gonna leave the link below. Like, it was just so small, my idea, because that's what I saw. Right. Like when we allow God to have open availability with our schedule and our lives and our dreams and our goals, it's almost like, here, let me take what I've already planted and the seed that I put in you to bring that into a blossoming or fruition that's even bigger than what you even dreamt of. Yeah. And I think that's where you're headed right now.
I think so too. I feel like the scripture that I keep coming back to is his ways are bigger than our ways. His thoughts are bigger than our thoughts. And don't ask me where that is in the Bible. I just know it's somewhere. I keep hearing it. Me too. Whenever I go to church, I keep hearing it. So, and I feel like the way that God talks to me, because I really don't pick up on his signs very well, is he'll have people tell me the same thing. Just
in a different way.
Yeah, he'll have different people tell me pretty much the same thing, or I'll see a recurring theme in something. And the recurring theme that I'm seeing and feeling now is like leadership and mentorship. So I don't know what exactly that role is going to be in the future or what exactly that looks like, but I feel drawn to the concept of leadership and mentorship wherever that may be. So
you're definitely a leader already in what you do. Nice. And I feel like even throughout your years of competing, like there isn't a pageant girl that doesn't know you. Aww. Literally every single pageant girl that I know, they're like, yes, we love Chrissy. I know Chrissy. And I get so excited when I talk about you because you're literally like just this air and just so much light comes out of you that, girl, the world doesn't deserve you.
What else do they say?
Oh, shucks. No, but you're doing so good. And I think, don't cry because I'll start crying too.
I'm a crier.
Don't do it.
We're Enneagram 8s, so we have that energy where we just like get so intense about things. So I'm gonna just happy cry about this. But yeah, thank you. Yeah. I appreciate it.
No, so I'm excited. Yeah. And I'm here for you to walk this journey with you and to guide you and help you in whatever ways that I can. So I'm really grateful of our friendship. So now that you're kind of feeling the vibes of mentorship and leadership, what steps do you plan on taking to kind of go into that a little deeper and figure out if that is for you, if that's your calling?
Yeah, I've been reading some books about it. So I'm just trying to be in like a state where I'm listening and absorbing instead of just, trying to put my voice out there with no direction really. Because I feel like with that, you kind of just go nowhere fast.
Right.
So I'm in a state where I'm just trying to be patient about it and like have the answers come to me. I don't have it fully figured out yet. I just know that I feel most in alignment with God's purpose for me, and I feel like most alive and like most fulfilled when I'm pouring into others and like sharing my knowledge and sharing my experience. So that's where that compelling feeling kind of comes from, of like where I think my future is going in next. And I'm very blessed that in my everyday job working for Best Buddies that I'm able to do that on even a smaller level, where I'm job coaching a participant just in their daily tasks and stuff like that, and being able to pour into them in that way, it brings me a great sense of satisfaction.
Yeah.
So
it's funny, as you were saying that, literally like just this light went on. Have you ever, the story about David, right?
No.
David in the Bible?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, David, do I know him?
David.
Do I know a guy named David?
The story of David, before he was like this big king and like slayed Goliath and all of that, which is what everybody knows him by. His story was literally, he was a shepherd boy and he was anointed. And there was a prophet that came to him and told him what he was called to do. But before he became the slayer of Goliath and became king and all of that, he literally was like a slave basically to his older brothers. His older brothers were out in the army getting ready for war, for battle, and he would go and bring them sandwiches and was like on top of like what everybody needed to be doing. And he was basically nobody. People ridiculed him, made fun of him, and belittled his calling, belittled who he was, his brothers. And for a while he literally just kept it low key, just didn't really do much. He accepted what he was doing at that moment because he knew that he was anointed and had bigger purpose.
Right.
But he knew that he had to go through that process and he had to be humble and he had to just stay low key and quiet. And I tell you that story because that was my year of self-discovery after pageantries and coming out of that type of lifestyle. That whole year, I felt like David felt during those years. And I knew that God had called me for more, but I had to accept the training that I was being given and the patience that I was being given at work and through my associations with people and friends, family, all of that. I just needed to kind of accept it and just go with it and not try to rush or get ahead or try to like reach that calling quicker than the timing should have been. Everything has perfect timing. So I feel like if I tried to do this faster than I did it, it wouldn't have been what I dreamt of it being, So I think you're in your David year right now. You're in your shepherd year.
Yeah. I feel like something new on the horizon's coming just because a chapter just recently ended, but I feel good about it. I'm embracing the wait.
Yeah.
So
that's really good. So tell us about where we can find you on social media, Facebook, all of that.
Yeah, I'm not big on Facebook. I manage to get tagged in things all the time, but I'm not big on Facebook. But
it's out there.
I'm all about the gram. So follow me at Chrissy Reynoso. And what else am I on?
And how, if anybody wanted to get involved with Best Buddies or volunteer, how can they do that?
Well, Best Buddies is an international organization. So wherever you are watching from, you can find a way to get involved. So you can go to bestbuddies.org and you can fill out a volunteer form there. Or if you go like directly to your state, it'll like link you to the closest office near you. And you can contribute through being part of a friendship walk. I know Orlando has theirs in May. So you can look up Best Buddies Friendship Walk and get involved through that. If you are an employer and you have a business and you're thinking about hiring someone with a disability, you can contact me and I can hook you up and tell you what next steps you can take.
Awesome.
And then for young people out there who are still in high school, you can join your high school's Best Buddies chapter and make a difference.
So fun. Yeah. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Love you. Love you more.